Ecuador is located in northwestern South America. This region is prone to many types of natural disasters, some of which can trigger other disasters when powerful enough. The most common disasters in Ecuador are flooding, landslides, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. In order to effectively deal with this broad range of hazards, the emergency management system in Ecuador has needed to adapt to new technologies and ideas in order to effectively mitigate and recover from them. Ecuadorian emergency management has gone through large changes in the last 25 years. In the 20th century, Ecuador's structure and implementation plan was a top-down approach. For years, the Civil Defense Ministry was in charge of disaster management. This approach had its problems, however, as Ecuador has diverse terrain and cultures within its different provinces. One of the largest issues was an inequality in disaster aid and support. The aid was delivered quickly to the wealthy or politically powerful areas of the country, while the poor were left to fend for themselves until the rich and politicians were content. In Ecuador, this was even more of a problem than elsewhere, as the Ecuadorian poor often live on the sides of mountains and shanty towns that are unable to withstand natural disasters. Another drawback of this top-down system was that those in charge of the distribution of aid rarely knew what the people needed in order to recover from a disaster. Instead of pinpointing the needs of a community, the government would just ship a blanket list of supplies and assume they would be effective. This frequently led to a shortage of essential goods that these communities needed and a surplus of those they really didn't. Communication was also limited between local and federal government officials, as the local government held no power in the emergency management process. In 2008, Ecuador rewrote its constitution, which greatly affected its emergency management system. The new constitution modernized the framework and procedures that the system operated under and created the bottom-up implementation system that it has today. The National Secretariat of Risk Management was formed, which was in charge of implementing the decentralized national system of risk management. The DNSRM is a comprehensive system of emergency management similar to that of the National Incident Management System in the US. This new bottom-up system was not only extremely successful, it was also able to eliminate many of the previous issues, such as inequality in distribution of aid and communication problems, by creating a standardized format which every level of government follows in the event of an emergency situation. It also detailed out the participation and guidelines for the other organizations that would be assisting in disaster mitigation and recovery, such as the Red Cross and the Armed Forces. The largest potential obstacles for Ecuador are the sheer number of potential disasters and the ability for one disaster to trigger another, such as a seismic event causing landslides. It requires that Ecuador spend the majority of its emergency management funding simply responding to disasters rather than planning for and mitigating them. Although in recent years they have been able to put in place measures such as early warning systems that greatly improve that ability. The disaster management policy has been shaped both by the frequency and scope of the potential disasters, so that students have both earthquake and volcano drills regularly in the classroom. Also, as a majority of the population lives in high-risk areas, much of the political spectrum is devoted to ensuring population safety and promoting that feeling of safety. Ecuador has just entered the modern world of emergency management, and it will be very interesting to see how it moves forward in the future.